A producer once told me that there's 4 movies that a filmmaker makes. There's the movie that you have in your mind that's just completely perfect and flawless since it's your idea. Then there's whatever you end up filming with whomever, whatever you're able to get. Then there's the final cut of the film that gets edited. And finally, you have the movie you show to the audience and whatever they think of it. This makes me think about a movie called The Room, a movie considered the best worst movie ever made that gets talked about more than some of the actual best movies. And as I've covered in previous videos, I think that it's the worst movies that you can learn the most out of. So let me break it down. Number 1, Tommy Wisseau had an idea. They say you spend your entire life making your first feature since every experience you've ever gone through goes into it. I mean, some of my favorite movies of this past year come from first-time directors whose features rely heavily on personal influences. And the idea is that it's okay to hone in on that. The Room itself is a movie about friendship and betrayal, and you can tell that that's something that was on Tommy's mind. And as funny as it is to watch, at least you get what he was trying to say.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
Number 2 is the filming of the movie. And the filming of The Room is so intriguing that there's a movie about it, which I highly recommend. It surprisingly doesn't fully make fun of the dude who created this masterpiece, but instead reflects on the journey that it took to make it, because even bad movies take effort. In it, you learn a couple of things. 1, filming is a group effort. Things will go wrong. You won't always get exactly what you dreamed of, and things will go wrong. All throughout filming anything, or really just when you're creating anything, it's crucial to get feedback from people. And I know that there is a difference between actually getting feedback and then someone just criticizing you for no reason. Like, there's a difference between someone inquiring about the cancer plotline that's going on in a movie and then someone just straight out telling you that you suck donkey. Differences will always happen between your initial vision, which is why you're supposed to get a group that will help you get it as close as possible. Now, I get that we're not like Tommy Wisseau. Most of us aren't, because, you know, we're human beings and we age, and we also don't have this, like, endless pit of money that he was able to have. But we do have the internet. Obviously, if you watch this channel, you know that my main focus is movies, but if your thing is art, if your thing is music, if your thing is baking, business, whatever it is, you have an opportunity to be able to make whatever you want, and literally the only thing stopping you from trying is you. Say you don't have a crew of people who are able to help you out. At least you have your friends or family, or at least family, who would be willing to help you out to be able to make something. You don't have to do it by yourself. You may not have that 35mm beautiful Alexa camera, but that doesn't matter. There are Sundance features that were shot with an iPhone, and everybody has a phone. Just the fact that you have YouTube to be able to upload, to be able to just test out, you know, just try different things and see what people would like and actually build an audience, is a thing that if you're not using, it honestly becomes your fault, because I use YouTube to create an audience, and now you're watching this video. In other words, when it comes to the production side of whatever your medium is, you don't need to have a lot of cash. You don't need to do everything on your own. You just need to do something and do it consistently. Main point for The Room is filming is a collaborative thing, and with The Room, it still took a lot of people to make this movie, and ignoring a lot of input also made this movie. So don't be afraid to listen. Number 3 is The Room's final edit. Now, I'm sure you've seen all of those trailer mashups where you can make Frozen look like a horror, or Zootopia look like a horror, or, I don't know, it's always just making something look like a horror. But that just emphasizes how editing can completely change the tone of a movie, and perhaps there is an edit out there of The Room that's actually good. I know for me, however, editing is like my favorite part, but it's also the scariest part, because when you're filming, you're able to get all of this freedom, all these different choices that you're able to make when you're on set, but when you get to post, it's like you have to be so finite. All of those angles that you picked, you can only pick one. All of those takes that you took, you can only pick one. And thinking up what the best sequence, what the best pattern is going to be that'll actually get something from your audience is extremely scary, because what if it's one of the other ones that ended up on the cutting room floor, but you can only pick one, and it's a risk you have to take. Which of course leads me to number 4, and that is what you finally present to the audience and what they get out of it. Now, one of my favorite movies is Whiplash, and I love it because I think it's inspirational and motivating, yet the director thinks it's the most depressing thing, in that Andrew ends up as a hobo. And that's the thing. You know, a lot of directors don't like to explain their movies because they know that once they release it to the public, as corny as it sounds, it stops becoming their movie, because anyone can watch the movie that's on screen and they may be going through something, or they may have a background that, you know, reflects on screen, and they're going to see something different. And sometimes when the director tells you what they were thinking, audiences are going to reject it because they like their interpretation better. There's also the aspect that you can make something that's supposed to be so dramatic and then you find people laughing in those scenes, or you think that something's supposed to be super tense and people are falling asleep. You don't have control about what the audience is going to say, and that's how you get that fourth movie in one. So in the case of The Room, it's obvious that Tommy didn't set out to make a comedy, but the beauty of it is how Tommy embraced the audience, which caused The Room to become the phenomenon that it is. And to me, that's the biggest thing that you can learn from The Room. That it's a privilege to even get people to watch your stuff. So for them to fall in love with it in any way, shape, or form is a blessing. And I honestly think it takes a lot of courage to take what you would consider your baby, what you consider something that's super special to you, and to show it to the world and to let them judge it. One of my favorite quotes that a teacher told me was that bad films get made because those people show up to make them. Meanwhile, all the geniuses stay at home complaining. I don't think that making a bad movie is the worst thing that you can do as a filmmaker, and I think The Room is an example of that. I think the worst thing is not making one at all.
Didn't I tell you we was gonna make it to the top, nigga? Didn't I tell you this was a new birth of the rock, nigga? Didn't I say I didn't send you that money when you needed it cause you're mine, nigga? Didn't I say I didn't I take up the morning?